Hello, welcome to another tonal landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, Michael Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Tutukaka Dawn. It's a 5 by 10 and I actually painted this, I guess, probably about a month ago, but I've been pretty stoked to share it with you. I think it's pretty cool. And we're going to take you through a little bit of the thinking and the process behind this painting today, starting right now. We're working on it looks to me to be some HDF hardboard, primed with good 3 coats of house paint. And we're going to be doing our underpainting color with some burn umber. It looks like it's got a little bit of Mars black in it. So the genesis behind the scene is that I've been sitting on this really cool bit of sky reference for probably 15 years or so. And I just wanted to frame it with something. And so about maybe 6 months ago or around there, I had taken a trip out to Tutukaka, which isn't that far from here. It's a beautiful beach, and I got some dawn photos. Now the sky was just perfectly clear that day, but I didn't have the silhouette. I had the light coming up behind this landforms, and I thought, yeah, okay, I'll just get 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll make a little Tutukaka painting and paint my sky. Now, the sky, you will get a good gander at the reference in the members area, not a problem. Also, it's quite possible I'll share it out um, down the road, possibly. I keep forgetting to do that on Wednesdays, which is really the best day to do it because I don't want it crowding on my easel talk. Um, Yeah, when I do that, I do it. That's how it is. If you are somebody who's sitting there waiting for the live stream every week, that's for the free one, not live stream, the live painting session. The best thing you could do would be to invest the $6 into the members area, and you got hundreds and hundreds of live painting sessions there, as well as every week. You know, Corresponding to the 15-minute session, you've got a live painting session. So I really should set up an alarm or something like that. Anyway, uh, the thing is with the sky, you'll see it. You'll see that reference if you are in the members area. Is that it's beautiful, but there's a really large chunk of like a kind of mustardy, orangey sort of color, and it's beautiful, but it's too large. So one of the things that'd be in the top of our sky here. So one of the things that I did was just minimize that as I was painting. Now, there's a lot of times where I'll take pretty major steps to change the reference, get the reference in line. If I see things that I don't think are going to paint up well that I can adjust using digital means, I do it because I feel it's important to give myself every single advantage that I can. Since painting is already, it's not easy to do. I mean, it's easier when you do thousands of them. But even there, you really want to give if you can change things in the reference digitally, it's always best. But there's plenty of times I can't, and I just sort of have a mental note that okay, that's not going to look good. I'm going to want to adjust that. And there's plenty of things that are very difficult to adjust in the reference, like the location of trees in proximity to the edge. Certain cloud forms can be difficult. There's all kinds of little things you just need to make adjustments for. And as I said repeatedly, in fact, I think we have the easel talk coming out this week, or will have been out already by the time you see this video. Um, you really just want to use the reference as something to refer to, right? Not the Rosetta Stone, not the thing that you're going to cleave to 100%. Yeah, there's a middle ground's got to get struck. And ultimately, though, the more inspiring the reference is, the better it looks, the easier it's going to be for you to make an excellent painting from it. So, hey, check out that easel talk if you haven't already. Yeah. So, really, really happy with this dramatic sky. It's one of these dramatic sky paintings. And if you're going to do something like this with a super dramatic sky, you want the landforms to be supporting players. You don't really want to have, unless you're Thomas Kincaid, I'll take it back. Um, but for the most part, I don't think it's good to have an overly dramatic sky with overly dramatic landforms, and everything gets a bit maudlin, and I don't think that works. But there's lots of different ways to make different things work. Now you can see me bringing in the orange, and this is kind of an orange blue sky composition, and I love to do that. And you see how I work up to it, though. I put in more neutral tones that are warm, and then I come in either adjacent to them or on top. Now, if you're painting on top, that can be a little difficult. You want to make sure that you've got a little extra oil in your paint. And the best thing to do is basically, like you can see where the painting's at now, there's a lot of board peeking through. And that's because I'm going to be working into those areas. It's generally better to just lay down one layer of paint. There are times and places where you need to come in and put wet paint on top of wet paint, and we've talked about that a bit just recently, actually, on the channel. So, and I just dropped a hint there too. It's more oil, but even with that, you run the risk of things getting really messy and muddy and mucky. So you want to have, you just want to be strategic. Line everything up, and then work your way through it. Okay, we got an ad for the book. We have been shipping books all over the planet, and I'll ship a book to you anywhere you might be. It's 13 years of my tonalist painting journey. Everything I could do to figure it out. I didn't really have that much help. I had old Burge Harrison's book, but other than that, I really had to get in there and do my own thing, and that's why I made this book. For years, I would have people ask me questions underneath videos. It's like, hey, you never talk about this, you never talk about that. When the fact of the matter is that I probably have covered it, probably many times, but it would have that information would have been strung over many different videos, or in the early days of the channel, blog posts, right? Uh, so the first book, I'm going to be calling it that now more and more as we are getting the next book that I'm working on together. Uh, Basically takes all that information and puts it into kind of a how-to format. And I've had nothing but great comments on it. The book I'm working on goes even further. Basically, it'll cover just about any aspect of painting that I've ever addressed. And it's pretty comprehensive. It's not 100,000% comprehensive, but it's as close as I could get it. Yeah. Anyway, you can see the sky's looking pretty good, wrapping it up, and I was trying my best to, and these kinds of scenes, the colors in the water, they're very close to the colors in the sky. It's a smart idea to try and get some of that in at the same time, but many times I actually don't remember to do that, or I'm just so focused on the sky that I'm going to come down and do the water on its own. But sky and water in a painting like this, they're related, of course, because the water is reflecting the colors in the sky. I will say that you can use the same exact colors if you want, but generally colors and reflections are a little bit darker. Just a note. You definitely don't want them to be brighter than the sky. As a matter of fact, here's a tip for you. For those of you that have made it, what are we? We're going on 9 minutes in to this video. A good tip for you is you really don't want anything in your painting to be brighter than the brightest thing in the sky. Make a note. There could be exceptions to that. Maybe if you're painting people in the landscape, you might say, it comes to me like maybe you've got a bride or something. Maybe her dress is lighter and brighter than the sky. But for the most part, you definitely want to avoid that. Another good tip is, in fact, this reference had a very, very dark set of clouds in it. And you want to watch out for that. Don't get too crazy with super dark clouds. Whatever the reference is saying to you is all well and good, but really it's good not to make things in the sky too dark. The darkest things, here's another, yeah, same sort of related tip. The darkest thing in your landscape should be any vertical forms. In this case, we don't have trees, so this ridge of hills here would be the vertical forms. Oh, sorry, I just had a sneeze there, and I may have a sniffle. So if you watch any of my easel talks, you know. Um, I just, in fact, while I was sneezing and sniffling, I went ahead and made a low res and with ads version of the last painting session available on the channel since it's early on Thursday, and whatever. It's all good. I don't get too hung up on views or anything like that. Of course, I appreciate views and I appreciate comments even more. I've had so many lovely comments lately, even from people that have been watching videos for years that have said, "Hey, I've been watching for years, and here's a comment." That just makes my day. Absolutely, because there's a certain amount of work involved with doing all this. I'm compulsive about sharing my painting process, but it really makes me feel good to know that people are finding this helpful. And we are a special breed, the painters, aren't we? I think more humans will be joining us as we troll on down the lane, which will just basically mean more mediocre paintings out there. But it's all good. You know what? It doesn't matter if your paintings are not amazing. What matters is the journey to mastery, and that is actually the title of Volume 4 in the book series I'm working on. Yeah, Journey to Mastery. I've always loved that term, and because I think that's really what painting is. I'm interested in mastery and getting better all the time. And painting is so great because after an initial bunch of paintings, you can start doing things that are actually quite nice, quite good, and from there you can just keep getting better and better. It rewards you in a way that a lot of other activities I think don't as much. For example, say video games. You might spend 40 hours working your way through a video game, and no doubt you're going to enjoy the process, but what do you have to show for it? Not much, not much in the world. And that's the beauty part of paintings. You work hard, you get something beautiful, and then that can be shared or sold, or it can just exist, and hopefully exist after you're no longer here, and somebody at some point will be looking at it and go, "Gosh, that's beautiful. I wonder who painted that." Maybe they'll know, maybe they won't, but you will have left your mark, and I think that's important. At least it's important to some of us, and definitely me. Yeah, so I'm real happy with the way the water turned out here. It had a kind of silveriness to it, and I think I got that across. It wasn't like crazy waves. I decided not to get into a lot of white water here. I wanted a real calm sort of feeling. It really is a sky painting that is supported, and I would like to do more things like this. This is, I think, a great use of a very dramatic sky. When I came across this bit of reference, I thought, wow, that's super cool. I want to make a painting from it. And so many times I just passed on it because of the factors I outlined previously. Normally, my focus is mostly on the landscape, but it's good to do these sky things. And painting skies is probably my favorite thing to do. And painting, I love painting every part of the landscape and the sky. But you can get so much emotion and feeling into the sky, especially when you have all these beautiful colors and shapes and drama. In fact, I have a painting in my studio. It just came back from a gallery. It's second time in the gallery. It's a beautiful painting. It's very dramatic sky. I think it's called Drama Sky. And what are you going to do? At some point, that painting will find a buyer. It's amazing to me over the years. I have some very dramatic, very stormy paintings I've done, and I think just about last summer I had a couple coming from Germany buy my darkest, stormiest sky painting, and this actually has a bit of redeeming quality And that it's stormy kind of, but it's got a lot of light and hope in it, and that's always a big win. Anyway, that's oh, now that last bit of red there, that was not so much in the reference, and I thought that just came to me as inspiration towards the end, and I think it's a nice touch. The other thing is in the reference, the silhouettes of those hills were pretty much just completely dark, but I brought in that bit of red. Anyway, till I come back on another video for your, hopefully for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones, stay out of trouble, and fight the power.